list of blocks on here. We're going to do Easter cake. So we're just going to do some basic cakes first. So the first question is, what are the two methods of cake making? So I'm going to do both of them. So the first one here is the all-in-one method. So this is like the cheese method, but you're not going to do this next week. Or whenever you're doing it, you're going to do the creaming method. If we had a 1 hour lesson, maybe we would do this instead. So in a minute, when I'm whisking mine, you can whisk yours. So I'm going to get a pupil, but we're going to weigh it up. So we need to weigh it up. So this is the next question, probably. Oh, so we'll do, the methods are the all-in-one method and the creaming method. Except for getting rid of lumps, why do we sieve flour? So seeing I've said that, let's get the sieve out. No, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet, I said. Only when I'm whisking mine. Let me go. Otherwise it won't hear me, thank you. So I'm going to weigh it up first. So we press the 0, we need 100 grams of marge, right? So that's going to be roughly 100 grams, roughly. So that is a little bit less, so I need a little bit more. An egg is 50 grams, so that's how I'm guessing. Now with the sugar, I'm not even going to weigh the sugar. I'm going to do 4 tablespoons and use this one here. 4 rounded tablespoons, that's 25 grams by the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's exactly 100 grams. Then we whisk these two together, then we add the eggs. Now I can add the eggs a bit at a time. If the all-in-one, you just whisk it all together. You can put extra baking powder in it. If adding cocoa, you'll need to take out 100 grams, 10 grams of flour and put 10 grams of cocoa in. So whether the dry ingredient you should take out. I'm not doing that today. So this one, whisking it up, now you can whisk, So we're whisking it. Now this is the creaming method. Oh, so the reason, next one. Except for getting rid of lumps, why else do we sieve the flour? So we sieve the flour, it's more air, puts more air in it puts air in the flour. This also, this is a question, you need to write this down. This also adds the air. The creaming makes it lighter. It adds the little pockets of air in here. This also, the second answer here, it dissolves the sugar. So for number, except for getting rid of lumps, it adds air. By creaming sugar and butter, what two things does it do? Adds air and it dissolves the sugar. Now I'm only using granulated sugar, which is slightly larger lumps. But if I just whisk this, the lumps will just get smaller, beaten in the butter. So it's making it smaller, dissolving the sugar, or making them smaller, adding air. And also this makes it look white. This makes it lighter. So the all-in-one method is okay, but this is meant to be slightly better. Next one. When adding the flour to the cake, how do we add it? We're going to fold it in. So rather than whisk it, I'm going to fold that in. What are the ratios? Oh, the ratios. So 100 of each and 2 eggs. So an egg is roughly 50 grams. So 100 grams of egg, 100. This will make between 6 and 9 muffins or 12 little fairy cakes. That's what it should make. It should make 6 big muffins, but I reckon I might get more than 6. I might get 8, depending how much you want in them. With the other mix, I'm making a thing called simnel cake, which you're not making. Just whisk it up. That's whisked up enough. Now you could whisk it up a bit more. That might make it lighter, but I don't want to keep you waiting too long. Now we add some of the egg, and you can beat it up first a little bit. Sometimes we do the all-in-one method. If we short of time. We've got a 2.5 hour lesson, so we've got plenty of time. My class at the moment, they're writing the answers down as you are, but they're doing it without the video with me showing them. So a bit more egg. If the egg curdles, you can add a tiny bit of flour, right? You can add some flavouring, vanilla essence and stuff here if you want to. So now, once it's whisked up, I could now this bit, to get it all off the whisk, lift it up, have it on the side. Now what I'm going to do, to get rid of it, get these out. I don't like these dripping on the table or egg on the table. So I put them in there, I can just put them straight in the sink out the way so they're not dripping anywhere. That's finished with, I can turn the plug off. Now I have got a big machine here, but where it's such a small amount, I'm not using that. But you could use that for larger amounts a lot quicker. The next thing, I'm going to sieve the flour in. So I need 100 grams of flour. I haven't weighed the flour yet, but you could weigh that before. So I'm going to use this egg bowl. The only trouble with this is going to stick to the bowl. Yeah, so maybe I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to do that actually. Because normally I would just add it straight away. So I'm just going to get another clean bowl. The only trouble about the creaming method, it makes a lot more washing up because I would just have it all in one bowl. You could weigh it up in one bowl. But this should make it slightly lighter. I'll have the other one as well, thank you. So one of the pupils whisked the other one up for me at the same time. And they won't be a lot different. Sometimes we can do a trial of both and see which one's this. So this is 100 grams. Some people put slightly more than 100 grams in. And I'm going to sieve it in first, yep. And this makes it slightly lighter. For things like Swiss roll, which is the whisking method, that's very important. It's more important to fold it for this. So in here, now I'm going to fold it with a tablespoon. But you could just whisk it in, so it's not a big deal if you whisk it in, but you're meant to fold it in, and this cake should be slightly lighter. The other way to make it lighter, you can separate the eggs and whisk the egg whites up as well. So this is 100 grams. Some people put a tiny bit of milk in now, but it should be okay. Now I've not got any flavourings here, I've got cinnamon there, but I'm not going to do this. So this is going to be my little muffins. Now I'm going to do roughly 6 to 8. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can either do it, most people, if you don't like touching it, you'll have to do it with a spoon. I do it with my finger normally. So watch this. So I don't get it. The secret to this, don't get it on the tin and don't get it up the sides. So just push it in, like so. But I don't like doing it that way, but some of you people don't like touching it. Next one. In here, and I'm trying to make them all even. Now in a minute, if they're not even, I can do something about it, like take a bit out of one. Now I've got a little bit on the tin, so I need to wipe that over with a bit of paper towel, or a damp dishcloth, or something to do that. Now I've got some different, on purpose, I've got some different, what they call paper cases. So I've got some, you can have the plain white ones, they're the cheapest. Then there's these brown ones. I've got these multicoloured ones here, and I've got one that's like a silvery gold colour here, which I quite like, but they cost more. You know, the cheap ones cost a penny each. Those ones cost about 3 or 4p each. So it does make quite a difference to the cost of the food. So you have to think of your budget sometimes. I've used margarine because it's cheaper as well. And we'll go through the next question in a minute. So next question. Name 2 ways how to tell the cake muffins are cooked, or cupcakes, whatever you want to call them. So I class the fairy cakes as the small ones. The cupcakes are a little bit bigger than the muffins are like normally quite big. And you can make muffins with oil, not with butter if you like to. That's it. A lot of people would do that. But we're just using a normal basic cake recipe. So ready? So let me do the next question. What 2 ingredients of a cake can a vegan not eat? Well, if this has got margarine in, which some vegans can eat, but sometimes there's buttermilk in it. So I'll read this one here. I'll read the things here. Oh, it was on the label, it's probably on the top somewhere. I don't know if it's got buttermilk in this, I haven't got my glasses on. This one has got, oh, I don't think this one's got any, this one hasn't got any, but a lot of margarine do have. And it will say buttermilk in it, even though it's made from mainly vegetables. One good thing about this is make sure you scrape it out well. That's one thing the pupils aren't very good at. So make sure you scrape it out. And today, what we're going to do, we've already had the milk challenge. They have to do 125 milk. That was for the hot crust buns that they're making. But for this one, they have to, oh, that's for next week, they have to scrape that out. I'm going to weigh their bowls, and the winner's going to get with the least in. So once these are done, they go straight in the oven. And the next thing we're going to do is simnel cake. So next week when they're cooking, what they need to do straight away is put their oven on, because it will take longer to make the cakes than the oven to heat up. So the next one is the all-in-one method, but in this one here I'm going to put some extra ingredients in. So this is going to be simnel cake, and one of the questions is, I need some sultanas, and Kirsty, can you get me some sultanas? One advantage of being nice and loud, she'll have heard me from that, and she'll probably give me something. They're behind me. They're behind me. What's up? Hang on, she's already got them in. Sorry, that's brilliant. Oh, good luck. We won't actually We're making hot cross buns today, that's why these are out. I should have guessed that. So I'm just guessing that's about 100 grams. Now I think she's got me some cherries. But there's a weird ingredient in Simnel cake. This is a famous Easter cake. That's because we're making Easter cakes with a little eggs in, which the pupils will like. But this will be something most of you pupils haven't heard of. Most of the adults would have heard of this. And it's a cake they have at Easter. It's got fruit in it. And it's got marzipan in the middle. And there's 11 little balls on top. I don't think I wrote that as one of the questions. Maybe I'll add that. So the 11 is because there's 12 disciples Jesus had, but Judas betrayed him, so there's only 11 little balls on top to replicate the 11 disciples. And there's going to be marzipan on top, marzipan in the middle, and I'm going to blowtorch it or grill them, but normally I just blowtorch and give them a bit of colour. So that's a bit unusual. I quite like marzipan. Basically, marzipan is egg or egg white, icing sugar, and ground almonds. Goes on. So I like it, but a lot of you pupils don't like it. So mix that up. So this is basically just a fruit cake. Yeah, but it's going to have some cinnamon inside. So I've got a little round tin which I've got ready. Now I have to be able to get it out. So I'm going to make a little round disc. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. Fold it in half. Cut it in half first so I've got the right shape. Then I'm going to get some scissors. Then I'm going to fold it in half. So I did this with some pupils at Broome Park the other day, and some of them struggle with this. Fold it in half again, fold it in half again, fold it in half again. Go into the radius into the middle, cut it, and I should have a circle that will be roughly this size. And then it comes out nice and easily. So put that in the bottom. I can grease it, so I've got a little bit of paper left here. Save wasting it, don't have to move far. You can do it with oil or anything, you can just grease it. Makes it more likely to come out. It won't stick to the bottom because I've got the cake in it. Now there should be enough for this big sandwich tin. It's quite a big sandwich tin. Normally they're about 6 or 7 inches. I think this one's a good 7 inches, maybe 8 inches, which is times it by 2.54 to make it into centimetres. So that's done. I made a slight boo-boo here. I'm only put half of it in because you're meant to put half of it in, then a layer of marzipan, then the cake back on top. So that's half of it. So when you roll out marzipan, by the way, especially if you're not cooking it, if I'm cooking it, it wouldn't matter being flour in there now. But normally marzipan would be rolled out with icing sugar, by the way. But it wouldn't matter if I was putting it in the cake. You're not making this, by the way, but obviously you're welcome to make it over the holidays. This is the yellow marzipan. You either get it yellow or white. So I'm going to use, that's roughly 100 grams because that's the size of 2 eggs. If this is too big, then I'll use it for something else. So roll it, and I need to roll it this size, yeah? You can cut it out exactly, but I'm just going to put it in there roughly right. The top one, I'll make nice and neat when I do it later. So that's nearly big enough. Same as rolling pastry, this is. Keep it nice and round. That goes in there like so. Then I put the rest of the cake mixture in, and that's ready to go in the oven. Then you'll see it later. I'll just see what other questions. Oh, I'm just going to tell you this, and then we're going to get cracking. So, 5 ways how you can change to be healthier. So, 5 ways how it can be healthier. So basically, there's fat in it. Or the first one is flour. So we can change the flour to brown flour. That will add more fibre. The next one, it's got salted butter, 100 grams. You can either use unsalted butter, or do both and reduce the amount of fat in it. So if I'm putting 100 grams in it, you could just put 70 grams in it or 60 grams in it. Next one, sugar. Reduce the sugar. That could be reduced to say 60 grams. Either put some sweetener in it or maybe put some fruit in it. 2 eggs. The eggs are okay. You don't really need to make them healthier. Some people would say the free-range ones are slightly healthier, but not a great deal. But they would be slightly healthier, and the egg yolks would be a bit more yellow, and they do taste slightly better, and they would have some more vitamins in them. But it would be similar. Obviously you can put some fruit in it as well, dried fruit. You can put apple, banana, that would also make it healthier. That's ready to go in the oven. I've wiped it around the edge so it doesn't burn. 2 ways how to tell the cake's cooked. So obviously push it with a knife or a skewer. When it comes out, it should come out clean. I don't normally do this, so I just push it down with my finger. If it bounces back up, it's done. Next one, 5 methods of cake making. So we've got 2 already. We've got the creaming, and we've got the all-in-one method. Now you also get flapjacks. They're made with the melting method because you melt the syrup and the butter and then add the oats. You get Swiss roll. That's use the whisking method. Use the whisking, the sugar in the eggs, then fold in the flour. Then you have the rubbing in method, which is scones, short crust pastry, which isn't really a cake, but scones are, rock cakes, and shortbread. 2 ways to add dietary fibre: nuts, either nuts, brown flour, oats, fruit, especially the skin, that would add the fibre. How much sugar to 50 grams of butter for butter icing? Now I do double the amount. That's not a set rule, but that's what it's got on the packet, and that's what most people do, but you don't have to do exactly that. What unusual ingredient is simnel cake marzipan? Name 2 advantages of growing fruit and vegetable. That's a bit of a random question still when making cakes, but I'm planting with my pupils, if we get time in the lesson, either this lesson or next lesson, we're growing some stuff. One, it's going to be free to do it, or a lot cheaper, plus it'll be organic, it won't have pesticides on it, but the main reason it's cheaper, and it tastes a bit better if it's fresher. Thank you. Okay.